Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was an incredible day because of the live stream and how well it went, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what went terrible. The absolute disaster, the nightmare, the pain, the anguish, the deprivation that happened as I attempted to buy the Dan secret lair. I guess it's not a secret lair, it's a chaos vault or whatever, because now I guess secret lairs are super easy to get and they're like pseudo print to demand, but Chaos Vault's the new secret lair that's actually rare and scarce. Well, I did not do all the diligence that I should have, and it was after 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific time, when I was logging in, and I got online, and I got through line, and then I thought to myself, wait, do I actually want this? So I started looking at the cards, and the cards are actually pretty good. It's a deck. It comes with 20 basic land islands that look incredible. It comes with a number of other cards. It's mono blue. It's a beautiful deck, great cards. And so at that point I was like, you know what? I do want to buy this. And then I went to go check out and it had already sold out. Crushing. Just absolutely crushing. And this got me thinking, and we talked about it in the live stream, and I want to talk about it here, about what it means that Wizards of the Coast is monopoly. Because when people hear monopoly, they think, oh, they have pricing power. They can just price whatever they want. Well, if they could price whatever they want, they would sell infinite items at an infinite price and just make infinite money, right? But of course, they don't do that, and they're not able to do that because they don't have pricing power, so to speak. They can't actually, what's interesting is, like, from an economist point of view, Wizards of the Coast can't control the price. They control how many they make. And if they want to sell all of those, the market gets to choose the price. Now, if they're okay not selling all those, they can choose a price. But the price they choose is going to either sell out because the price was too low, or it's not going to sell out because the price was too high. But if you want to sell everything at the price that people are willing to pay for it, that's a price that the market decides. And we see that with individual trading cards, right? When you go to buy a One Ring, it costs like $100 or $90 or whatever, because the market is willing to supply copies of the One Ring as fast as people demand them. And there's this equilibrium, and the price emerges from that. But with something like Secret Lair or Chaos Vault or whatever, Wizards of the Coast chooses a price, and people think to themselves, do I want that? And if they want it, they buy it. If they don't want it, they pass. And if it sells out, that means there's more people that wanted it than there were copies available at that price. But if there was a market, if somehow Wizards, I guess they put them on eBay and people bid on them, right? We would find out what the real price is. And in that case, exactly as many would sell as people are willing to pay for at that price. And by that, I mean that markets are actually a really efficient way of distributing resources. If you have a fair market, if you have the One Rings that are listed on eBay and TCG Player, it turns out that people are willing to give their One Rings up for $90 about as fast as people are willing to buy them for $90. And the people who buy them are happy getting a $90 card, and the people who sell them are happy to get rid of a $90 card. It's a win-win. But that's not what's happening with Secret Lair or Chaos Vault or whatever bull crap. Wizards is a monopoly. They do have control, and it is not it's not like an open market where there's this open exchange. And so Wizards is able to charge under market value and sell out basically immediately. And they get a few things for that. One, they get guaranteed money. Two, they get hype. People are going to be more likely to buy whatever the next silly Chaos Vault thing is because this one sold out. That is just true. I suppose we could debate it, but to me that just rings true. I am more likely to be interested and pay closer attention and to get into the line before the actual time starts the next time there's a Chaos Vault because this one sold out so quick. And so, man, I saw somebody on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, that was talking about, they kind of commented on the Secret Lair Twitter accounts, X accounts post about the Dan to Dan Secret Lair, and they said, they explained that they had my exact situation, that they were waiting in line and then it was sold out. And so they missed out. They didn't get any. And they said something like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing this to Wizards, as if they're like the significant other of Wizards and just like, I can't put up with this anymore. I might have to leave you. Meanwhile, Wizards of the Coast is, wiping their bums with money with $100 bills saying like, what did you say? You're going to leave me? Yeah. It is obviously a money printing machine for Wizards. These Secret Lairs, these, I guess the Secret Lairs aren't selling out. I keep saying the Chaos Vaults because those are the ones that have been really selling out recently. Even when there isn't good expected value, even when the cards are just bizarre, the Secret or the whatever Chaos Vaults are selling out. And so it does feel like Wizards is printing money, helping add to their bottom line. There's some mix of scarcity and rarity that people are going crazy for this stuff, which is funny because, like I said, the Secret Lairs actually aren't selling out. You can still go buy Fallout Secret Lairs. My buddy said that you can go to a game store and you'll see these Secret Lairs for $90 at the game store, but they're still available online for the, they're kind of set MSRP of $40-50. Just a wild world we live in. But, I've talked about this market power and this pricing and monopoly and what a free market would look like and what it looks like instead. And the question kind of emerges is like, is Wizards of the Coast taking advantage of us? And are we just getting totally hosed? And of course, the answer is partial yes. Wizards of the Coast is taking advantage of us, but it isn't like Wizards of the Coast can get away with anything, right? So for example, like somebody brought this up in the stream, what is to stop Wizards of the Coast from just reprinting everything, right? All the collector booster boxes, for example, because I've been on this kick where I'm going through past collector booster boxes and seeing how quote unquote profitable they'd be as an investment piece over the years, which, spoilers, they're pretty good. They're pretty profitable. Well, if Wizards went back and said, you know what, Wilds of Eldraine, those collector boxes did really well. Let's just reprint, thousands more. There's no serialized cards in them. There's just the shiny foily, confetti foil, Smothering Tides and Ristic Studies. So let's just print a bunch of those, put them on the market. We know they'll sell out. Let's just do it. Well, they can. They technically can do that. There's nothing that could stop them from doing that, except that they might not want to. And why wouldn't they want to? And this kind of goes into game theory, actually, because there's this very popular version of game theory or a game in game theory called the Prisoner's Dilemma. And what the conclusion of that game is that if you have two people that cannot cooperate and they're in a one-round game, they will do whatever they can to take advantage of each other. And this just makes a lot of sense, right? If you don't know somebody and you're told, hey, if you screw that person, you're going to make it big. You're going to win. Or you can be nice to that person and you'll win less. Odds are you're going to be like, you know what, forget this person. Like, they don't deserve it. I deserve it. Just whatever, right? You're not going to see that person again. And we actually see this in real life. Crazy. Game theory actually mattering in real life. Cafes that are along highways that are traveled by people going interstate, there's less tips. Turns out that if you don't think you're going to see that same server at that same cafe again because you're just passing through, you are much less likely to tip than you would going to your local cafe or whatever. If there isn't going to be a repeated relationship, you are more likely to take advantage of the other person that you're interacting with. So, what does this have to do with Wizards of the Coast and printing money? Well, Wizards of the Coast doesn't have a one-off relationship. If they did, like let's say Hasbro, for whatever reason, had to shut down as a company in a year from now, they would do it. They would print all of the collector booster boxes to oblivion. They would print the reserve list. They do whatever they can to get as much money as they can, because then it'd be all over. But that's not the game they're playing, thankfully. The game they're playing is a multi-year game, multi-decade game, if they're doing it right. And it's a reciprocal game. And what we learn in The Prisoner's Dilemma, too, is that if there's multiple rounds, if the people know that there's going to be a relationship that has to be formed, suddenly people are nicer to each other. Even though you could screw over the other person and win big for a round, it's not going to pay off, because then they're going to try to screw you the next round, right? And so the winning, if there's going to be multiple rounds, you win by cooperating. So what is Wizards of the Coast going to do? Well, they're not going to reprint Wilds of Eldraine collector booster boxes because that would not be cooperating with the market, with the people that bought those to speculate on them, to buy them as collector pieces, to buy them because they're rare and special and whatever. And I know a lot of people are like, forget the investors, like forget the collectors, like I deserve to have my shiny cardboard in my game. Yeah, I have just, for whatever reason, Wizards thinks that having the shiny stuff in the game is going to make them more money. And that's why they're cooperating and respecting collectors, investors. They're not reprinting collector booster boxes. They're not pulling that Magic 30th edition shenanigans over again. Although maybe we'd live in a very different world if Magic 30th had done well. For those of you who don't know, Wizards did the ultimate own goal back in 2022, late 2022, leading into 2023, where they printed Magic 30th edition, where they reprinted Alpha, but with special borders so that they were not legal cards. The back of the cards were fake. Like, they basically printed proxies of the first Magic set ever and then charged it as the most expensive product ever at $250 a booster pack, $1,000 for 4 booster packs. And people did not buy it. People did not buy it. They sold it direct to consumer on their website, and they took it down after a few hours because people were not buying it. And still to this day, people are not buying it. Even though there's not very many in the wild, there has not been a premium. They have not gone up in value. Not in any significant way anyways. So Wizards has messed around. They have found out. They know that they don't want to mess around with collectors. They don't want to mess around with investors to some extent. They do want to make their game enjoyable and inconvenient and affordable, but they're not going to reprint collector booster boxes because this isn't a one-round game. This is a multi-round game where they have to work together with us. They have to appease us, the consumers, to some degree at least. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't short print Dan and sell out and run away with a bag of money. What would be ideal for us consumers is if they printed more, if they printed a bunch more. And they'd probably technically could make more money too, but it wouldn't guarantee sell out. It wouldn't guarantee draw the hype. And monopolies in general, the monopoly strategy is to print less. It's to make less product. You save on production costs and you make more money. And that is the optimal solution for monopolies. I know I said a second ago that, they'd make more money. And while it's true that you could, I guess it's just not true. That, when you do the math, when you chart the charts out, if you're interested in the charts, let me know in the comment section below. I will go into the charts, baby. But when you do the charts, you learn that monopolies make more money when they lower supply artificially, right? They're just saying, like, we're just going to do less. Even though the market wants more, we're going to do less, and that will help us keep a high price. So that's all. Thanks for all you who were at the live stream yesterday. That was a great time. I'm going to try to do that Mondays, every Monday at 8 p.m. 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time to 9:30. And hey, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're at 275, I think, subscribers, trying to punch our way up to 500. Thanks for being here and watching. Have a great rest of your day.